We've done two great cruises this year. One was on the Queen Mary II, the last great ocean liner. The second was on the Royal Princess, a typical modern cruise ship. These two ships are almost identical in dimensions, but they are a totally different experience. Today, I'm going to share 10 ways that these two ships are different in both design and feel. And then I'm going to tell you what that means for you as a cruiser. And then I'll answer the question, which ones of these would we do again? 3 months ago, we took the Royal Princess on a 7-day cruise to Alaska. Majestic mountain and glacier scenery, ruggedly beautiful towns, great experience. 2 months later, we took an 8-day cruise on Queen Mary II to Norway. Majestic mountain and glacier scenery, ruggedly beautiful towns, great experience. But while each was positive and they sound the same, they were completely different in function and feel. First, I'm going to talk about the 5 ways the ships are fundamentally different in design and what that means to you as a cruiser. Then I'm going to talk about how they feel. 5 experiential differences, so you can decide which one of these is best for you. Difference number 1, the purpose. Let's start with the purpose of an ocean liner. They're built to maximize stability and comfort in all kinds of conditions. Ocean liners were designed for long voyages between Europe and the United States primarily. They're designed to handle whatever weather they may encounter. Okay, think of them as a V shape with a long bow, knifing through the seas from London to New York in 7 days comfortably, come hell or high water. But today's ships have a different purpose. They're designed to carry the maximum number of passengers, staying close to shore, and stopping almost daily. Think more of a U shape with a shorter bow, crammed full of cabins. These two ships are very comparable in length, breadth, and height. The Princess has one more floor. The Queen sits 5 feet lower in the water, 28 feet versus 33 feet. But the biggest difference is the number of passengers. Princess holds about 3,600, while the comparably sized QM2 only holds 2,700. That's a huge difference. Number 2, reinforcement. If the two ships are about the same dimensions, and Princess has one more floor and holds 900 more guests, why does the Queen Mary II weigh 7,000 tons more? Steel. The hull of this ship is roughly twice as thick as modern cruise ships. Does the phrase built like a battleship come to mind? Number 3, lifeboat and bridge location. Take a look at where the lifeboats and the bridge are located on the two ships. They're much higher on the QM2. Why? Well, to provide additional safety and visibility in the event of bad weather. Imagine how high the waves would have to get to reach these lifeboats. 4, a different cabin type. See the 2 rows of cabins underneath the lifeboats? These are a unique feature of the Queen Mary II. These are called sheltered balconies. They're balconies that are actually built into the hull of the ship. Unlike the normal balconies above the lifeboats, these look like giant steel rooms with a hole cut in them. They're bigger than regular balconies, but they don't have the same ambiance. We had one of these. The bottom opening is high enough to offer a pleasant view when you're standing, but you can't see the ocean when you're seated. They feel like being inside a bomb shelter with a stand-up view. Number 5, the way they're different, faster. QM2 might be heavier than Princess, but she is significantly faster. Most cruise ships have a cruising speed of around 20 knots. Royal has a top speed of 22.9. By contrast, Queen Mary II has a cruising speed of 26 knots and a top speed of over 30. She's the fastest cruise vessel currently sailing. We've done 2 transatlantic sailings, one on Norwegian, one on Princess. In both cases, our ships had to divert course because of weather conditions in the Atlantic. This is not unusual on a transatlantic. In both cases, we missed what few port stops there were because of the storms. The ability of QM2 to both withstand rougher weather and sail faster around difficulties is a great reassurance. Okay, enough of the tech talk. Let's get to the 5 experiential differences between the two ships. Here's what we experienced. In short, the QM2 is more formal, has more distinctive food, has a very specific vibe to it, has more places to explore, and focuses on different things. Let's take these one at a time. QM2 is more formal. Queen Mary II came into service in 2004. It's getting a little long in the tooth for a cruise ship. We took our first cruise on Princess, a different Princess ship, in 2005. On that cruise, I wore a tuxedo on formal nights, as did a large percentage of the males on board. Perhaps 90% wore at least a sport coat. Most had ties. At that point in time, the dress codes of the two lines were very similar. But a lot has happened in the 20 years since then. On our trip to Alaska on Princess this year, the 2 men in our party didn't wear sport coats or dress pants on formal nights. 2 of us wore jeans. Nobody cared. I did see the rare tuxedo, maybe 1%, but my guess is that perhaps 10% of the males had jackets or ties, and almost nobody had both. By contrast, suits and tuxedos are still alive and well on the Queen Mary II. I don't think Cunard has to do much to enforce it, because most people would feel very out of place if they showed up in the main dining room with clothes that we wore on dress-up night to Princess. In the dress-up venues, my guess is perhaps 30 to 40% had tuxedos. A third had coat and tie. Most of the rest had coats without ties. If anyone wore jeans, I didn't see them. You don't have to dress up, of course. There were 3 formal nights, and we chose to eat in the buffet on one of these occasions because we weren't up to the effort that night. But the comparison between Cunard and Princess on formal nights is night and day in the main dining room. Number 7, distinctive food. We love the food on both ships, but personally we prefer Princess. There's considerably more choice, in part because Princess has 6 items called Princess Favorites that are available every night. Here's the menu from the main dining room midway through our Princess cruise. If you count up all the possible choices of food, you'll find there's 30 choices for all the various courses, and this is typical for most nights on the ship. Here's the picture of the items that the 4 of us ordered. It looks good, and it was. By contrast, a typical main dining room menu on Queen Mary would have 5 appetizers, 2 soups, 5 mains, 3 to 5 desserts. That's 15 to 17 choices versus the 30 on Princess. Now, what we had was top-notch, so no complaints. We always found what we liked. If you're a foodie with an English palate, you'll probably find QM2 a touch better. If you thrive a lot on choice and you have more of an American palate, you will probably like Princess. The buffet likewise was smaller, but had an excellent selection on Queen Mary II. Princess, of course, is fantastic. I particularly liked the Golden Lion, the English-style pub on Queen Mary II. At lunch, they would feature the pie of the day, as in steak and kidney pie, or steak and mushroom pie. I had both. I loved them. 8. The ship vibe. The Princess vibe originates in the piazza. It's a now place where something is always happening. The artwork around the ship doesn't have any particular messaging except to convey a love of sailing and travel in general. Queen Mary II, on the other hand, is grounded in history. The walls of this ship could be made into a floating museum. It displays all the famous people who sailed on her, the historical events that she and preceding ships participated in, such as rescue efforts for the Titanic. This translates to music and entertainment as well. In 7 days on the Princess, we saw at least 3 different comedians. On the Queen, there were none. Then again, our cruise headed out of Germany, and more than half of the people on the ship spoke German, and Cunard might know that comedy wouldn't translate well in that situation. The shows were great quality on both, but definitely a British flavor to the QM2. Before I get to the last 2 differences, let me invite you to like and subscribe to our channel. We do these videos because our goal is to go as far as we can while we still have the health and money to do it. And we want to show others how to do the same. It doesn't cost anything to subscribe. It really helps the channel. Thank you in advance. Number 9. We're going to call this Nooks and Crannies. One of our problems aboard Princess was finding a place for the 4 people in our party to sit and relax and just have a good conversation. Early morning in the piazza worked, but later it was more difficult, either with music surrounding or crowds of people or just the location in general. But the longer we were on Queen Mary 2, the more we realized that there are tons of places to chill on this ship. It was built for being able to have many sea days and everyone to find a place to be by themselves. I could find a dozen places at any point in time where I could relax with a good book and a nice drink. You can also find music, particularly pre-rock and roll era music, everywhere. But it isn't intrusive. Finally, the last difference, number 10, big and small. You know a lot about a ship based on what they make big and what they make small. Queen Mary 2 boasts the largest library at sea, the biggest ballroom at sea. It has 2 different game rooms, which probably double the seating of Princess. Princess counters with the expansive piazza and a giant outdoor theater, and generally the outdoor spaces are nicer. The Queen has a smaller, more intimate auditorium. But the Princess secondary venue is Princess Live, which works well for game shows. But for educational talks, the planetarium room on the Queen is way better. So let's cut to the chase. The bottom line question with any cruise is, would you do it again? The answer for Princess is easy. Yes, in a heartbeat. It fits us to a T. Cunard? Yes, but. I think I would pick a cruise that involves a transatlantic crossing. It is the sweet spot for this ship, and I know that we would like it. Let us know what you think of this video in the comment section below, and let us know of other things that you'd like to see that we could comment on in future videos. Until next time, safe travels.